Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Lisa Simpson statue. She's going to end up looking a little something like this. I've also made a Bart Simpson statue, Marge, and Homer. Links on the screen and in the description if you haven't made any of those and you want to. But let's get cracking onto Lisa, shall we? So if you want to make her, here's what you're going to need. You will need some orange stained clay. You will also need some orange wool and some yellow wool. You will also need some white wool and also grab yourself some black wool. And those are the only colours that we're going to be needing. So once you have those and once you've figured out what you want to make her, I'm going to be making her right here. You're going to want to kick off your Lisa statue with this sequence of blocks in a row on the floor. Do one orange wool, then two yellow wool, then two orange clay, then two yellow wool, then one orange wool. And that is what you want to have for the base row of your Lisa statue. So once you've got that taken care of, we can now build up the rest of the front of the statue. So for the second row of your Lisa statue, you want to do two orange clay in the two center spots of the next row, and then place orange wool everywhere else, just like that. Once you've done that, you then, for the next 6 rows, want to do 6 solid rows of yellow wool. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we just have to fill those in. I always like to count them out beforehand, make sure I'm getting it right. I'm prone to making mistakes. What can I say? I'm an imperfect human being. So, once you have your 6 rows of yellow wool, you then for the next row want to do this. Going from left to right, do 1 orange, 1 yellow, 1 orange, 2 yellow, 1 orange, 1 yellow, 1 orange. Once you've done that, for the next 12 rows, you want to do 12 rows of orange wool. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we just have to fill those in. Shall we try vertically? Is vertically any faster? I have a feeling that it's probably roughly the same amount of time no matter what way you fill it in. One way just feels faster than the other because your character seems to be moving faster, but it's probably comparable. So once you've got your 12 rows of orange wool stacked on top, you then for the next row want to do an entire row of yellow wool. For the next row, place a single yellow wool on the ends of your row, and then place white wool everywhere else in between. And for the final row of the front of your Lisa statue, place a single white wool on the ends of your row, and then place yellow wool everywhere else. And what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this. Fairly simple. Once you've got that taken care of, we're now going to move to the back of our statue. We would usually do the arms at this point, but just like the Bart statue, the arms are a little weird in comparison to regular statues, so we'll be doing those later. So once you've completely taken care of the front, and pause this if necessary, if you're still working on that of course, you now want to move all the way around to the back of your statue and come all the way down to the bottom of the feet. You then want to take out your orange wool and you want to extend each end of the base of the feet out of the back of the statue, going that way each by 3 with your orange. Which sounds complicated, but really all you want to do is 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 coming out of the back of your statue. Very simple. Once you have your 2 rows of 3 orange wool, you then want to connect them together like this. So starting from the left, you want to do 2 orange, then 2 orange clay, then 2 orange wool, just like that, to connect each one of those third orange blocks together. Very simple. Once you've got this shape right here, we're now going to build up the entire back of our statue on top of these 8 back blocks. Then we'll move on to the sides, and I'm sure we'll get the arms and the head in there sometime as well. So, for the second row of the back of your statue, just going on top of these 8 back blocks, you want to, for the second row, do 2 orange clay in the 2 center spots of your row, and then do orange wool everywhere else. Once you've done that, you then, for the next 6 rows, want to do 6 solid rows of yellow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we just have to fill them in, don't we? The fun part, as I like to call it. I think this is row number 4, row number 5, and row number 6. There we go. So once you have your 6 rows of yellow wool, for the next row, starting from the left-hand side, you want to do 1 orange, 1 yellow, 1 orange, 2 yellow, 1 orange, 1 yellow, 1 orange. Once you've done that, you then, for the next 12 rows, want to do 12 solid rows of orange wool. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and now we just have to fill them in. We're going to go with the vertical fill in again. There we go. Almost didn't get that out. I don't know what word I was going to say in place of vertical, but hey, it probably wasn't going to be English. So once you've got your 12 rows of orange wool completely filled in, right there, you then, for the next 2 rows, want to do 2 solid rows of yellow wool. So that's 1 and that's 2. Once you've done your 2 rows of yellow, to finish off the back of your statue, you just want to do an entire row of white wool to give you something which should look in total a little bit like this. So once you've reached this point right here, and as always, pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that, of course, it probably makes most sense for us to take care of the arms next. So you're on the back of the statue, and you want to come all the way over to the upper right hand side of your statue. You want to be in line with this right white block that we have here. Going right of this white block, place a yellow wool. Then go down from that yellow wool by 11 with your yellow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like that, to give us in total a row of 12 yellow wool. 1 plus 11. Once you have that first initial row of 12 yellow wool, you then want to place 2 more rows of yellow going to the right of it, like this, to give you 3 rows of 12. Once you have 3, you then want to come to the side of your statue, and you want to do a further 2 rows coming towards the front of your statue. So 1 and 2, just like that. Once you've added the 2 rows on the sides, you then want to come to the front of the statue, and you want to connect all the way to the side of your statue again. So just go to the right, do 2 more rows, and connect back to the front of the statue. And what you want to end up with is something that should look a little bit like this. They're basically the same as regular arms, except it's just like 3 rows instead of 4. Usually it's 4 by 4. This case it's 3 by 3 starting at the back of the statue. Why, you might be asking? I have no clue. What can I say? I have no idea. But once you've got all of those rows taken care of, you then may also want to fill in the tops and the bottoms of your arms in with yellow wool, and once you've proceeded to do that on one side of the statue, you now want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So we're on the back of the statue again, we're at the top left, we're going left of this white wool, do a yellow wool, and then go down from it by 11. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Once we have our row of 12, we then just want to add another 2 rows going outwards from the statue. Once we've done those 2 rows, we now want to bring it towards the front of the statue. Once you've done that, you then want to connect back to the statue. And I'm doing this a little faster because I've already explained it in depth once. And once you've done all of those rows, you then just want to fill in the tops and the bottoms of the arms in with yellow to give you something which should look a little bit like this. The exact same thing that we had on the opposite side of the statue. Fairly simple. Once you've got the arms taken care of, we now have to fill in the sides of our statue. So starting on any side of the statue really, it doesn't really matter. Come all the way down to the base of the feet on the side of the statue and start this off by doing this. What we're basically doing on the sides of the statue, we're just matching the colours. So you see this colour that we have on the front and the back of the statue? Do the exact same colour in these 2 spaces here. It applies for the shoes, it applies for the legs, and it applies for the dress. Just where you have yellow, place yellow. Where you have orange, place orange. It's as simple as that. And what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like that. Fairly simple. And of course, once you've done that on one side of the statue, do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So we're just on the opposite side now. Just doing the exact same thing. So both sides should look absolutely identical, and once you have taken care of both sides, we now get to move on to Lisa's head. So once you've reached this point right here, you now want to come to the front of the statue, and you want to come all the way up to the top of the torso. On top of the top row of your torso, you want to place a row of 8 yellow wool just directly on top of that row right there. Just at the top, front of the torso, place an extra row of 8 yellow on top of it. Once you've got that first row of 8 yellow placed, you then want to place 2 more rows of 8 yellow coming out in front of your statue, just like this. So you just want to do 2 rows coming towards you. And once you have your 2 additional rows of yellow wool, you then want to stack on top of this most outward row 2 more rows of yellow, just going directly on top of it, like this. On top of that second row of yellow that you've just placed going up, you then want to do 2 yellow wool in the 2 center spots of the next row, and then you want to place white wool everywhere else. For the next row, going up, starting from the left hand side, do 1 white wool, 1 black, 1 white wool, 2 yellow, 1 white wool, 1 black, 1 yellow. For the next row, do 2 yellow in the 2 center spots of the row, and then white wool everywhere else. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 black, 2 yellow, 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 black. And now for the final row of Lisa's face, just do an entire row of yellow wool, and what you want to end up with is something that should look a little bit like this, which I will admit looks slightly scary at the moment, but don't worry, we've still got her nose, her mouth, her hair to do. She's going to look a lot less creepy, but not that uncreepy once we've actually done the next few bits. So once you've reached this point right here, you now want to come all the way to the back of Lisa's head. Unfortunately, I can't walk through walls, otherwise that would have worked. Come all the way to the back of Lisa's head, and starting from this original row of 8 yellow wool that we placed, you want to extend that original row all the way back over the back of the statue until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows. Very similar to how the front of the head overhangs the front of the statue by 2 rows, exactly like that. So once you've added on all of those additional rows, you now want to take the 2 back corners of the back of Lisa's head that we've just formed, and you want to raise up each one of the back corners so they equal height to Lisa's face, and then you just want to connect those rows to Lisa's face, just like this. And once you've done that, you also want to connect them together as well to form a nice empty yellow cube shape. Easy enough. Once you have your empty cube, you now just want to fix that problem by filling all of the sides in with yellow. We want to have a nice big yellow cube that just happens to have 2 very creepy eyes, which we'll see once it's filled in. It looks really, really disturbing without any of the other features. So we're just now going to fill in the entire head, then we'll do the hair, then the nose, then the mouth, and then the dress, and then we'll be done. So we've just about filled in the entire head. Like I said, next we'll be doing the hair, but first we'll take a look at the very, very creepy face of Lisa. You tell me that this doesn't belong in a horror movie. That is just weird, isn't it? I'll tell you, some of these Simpson statues are really, really creepy without the features. All of them just look really disturbing in their base forms. But once you've reached this point right here, it's now time for us to do Lisa's hair. So come all the way up to the top of the head and come all the way to the back of the head. This is the first row of the back of the head. We're looking for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rows. So coming in, this is the 1st, 2nd, this is the 3rd, mark it with a yellow block, 4th, and 5th. Mark the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rows with yellow blocks like this, and then extend them all the way over the side of the head. So you just want to have 3 solid rows of yellow on top of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rows coming towards the front of the head like that. And once you've done a single row on top of each one of those rows, add another row of yellow on top of that to give you 2 rows of yellow, like this. Fairly simple. Once you've got your 2 rows, you now want to take this middle row right here and stack yet another row of 8 yellow wool directly on top of it, like this. And then on top of this single row of 8 yellow, you want to stack a row of 4 just in the center, like this. So you want to have formed this shape. Fairly simple. Once you've done that, you now want to come to the side of the head, and starting from this position right here, if you guys can see where we're starting this, from this position right here, you want to do a vertical row of yellow wool that comes all the way down to the side of the bottom of the head, but it just stops 1 row short, if you guys can see what I've done there. So if I can just show you from a side view, hopefully it's quite easy to see what I've done there. And once you've got that first initial row of yellow wool, you want to add another row of yellow further going out, like this. And once you've got that second row, you just want to do 1 more row coming out that is just 1 shorter on each end in relation to those first 2 rows, like this. Once you have done that on one side, English is so difficult, guys. Once you've done that on one side, you want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So we're on the opposite side now, starting from this position right here. I'm sure you guys can see where I am. Starting from this position, do a vertical row of yellow coming all the way down the side of the head, stopping 1 short of the bottom of the head. Add another row next to it, and then 1 final row that is simply 1 shorter on each side. So you just want to end up with something that should look exactly like this. And that is Lisa's hair. So just to show you guys from the front, that is exactly what it wants to look like. Hopefully easy enough for you guys to do. She's looking a lot less creepy already. Once you've got the hair taken care of, all you want to do now is Lisa's nose, which is positioned at the bottom of the eyes, and it's just in between both of them. It's just at the center, in between the bottom of each eye like that, and it's just 2 yellow wool right between them. Very simple, sticking out in front of the face. Once you've done that, we now want to do the mouth, which at the top of the torso, you guys can see that we have these 6 yellow wool just in between these 2 white. You just want to extend these 6 yellow wool out in front of the statue like that, just by 1 row. And what you want to end up with is something that should look a little bit like this, to show you how this all pieces together. And that is Lisa's head 100% fully completed. Easy enough. Hair, nose, mouth, completo. All we have to do now is Lisa's dress. So her dress is actually somewhat difficult to put into words, but it's actually quite easy to see what you have to do. So come all the way down to the bottom left hand side of Lisa. Just underneath the arm, you want to form this shape with your orange wool. And I'm just going to make this shape, and I'm just going to show it you, because it's kind of difficult to put into words, but it's kind of like an archway shape, or kind of like an A shape. I'm sure that you guys can identify that just by looking at it, kind of like a table, a really thick table, or a cabinet. Once you've formed that shape, just coming out of the side of the statue, you just have to do an ever so slightly smaller version of that shape, further just poking out of the statue like this. Can you guys see what I've just done there? Is that easy enough to see what I've just done? Fantastic. Once you've done that on one side of the statue, you want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're on the other side now. You just want to form the exact same shape, just like this. Kind of like a weird A shape or something like that, or a big giant table. Once you've done that, you just want to place this shape just directly in front of it, and I've actually done it slightly wrong, but we can fix it. There we go. And that is what you want to end up with. And I have noticed that I've made an ever so slight mistake on the side of the statue, which is also easily fixable, but doesn't matter too much. If you guys can see here, where we have these 2 orange wool, these really should be yellow. Very, very small mistake, but if you're bothered about things like that, if you're bothered about accuracy, you may also want to knock out those orange wool and just replace them with yellow. But that is what you want to have for Lisa's dress, and from a front view, you want to end up with something that should look exactly like that. Easy enough. And once you've taken care of her dress, you have actually 100% fully completed your Lisa statue, and she is looking a lot less creepy now. A lot less creepy. She's actually a very well designed statue. I think she's quite well proportioned actually, but once you've reached this point right here, you have fully completed your statue, and all I'm going to do now is have a nice little bit of a look at her. She actually does make a really nice statue. I think that she's better designed than Bart is, to be completely honest with you, but my favourite, which I still have yet to do, is Maggie. Maggie is very nicely done, but Lisa's a nice looking statue as well. Very nice, easy enough to make as well, not too difficult. Yeah, I don't think that there's too many parts that can really trip you up here. I mean, Homer and Marge are a little weird because they've got slightly different proportions. Oh, developed a stutter like Porky Pig. Developed a stutter there, but Lisa's definitely a nice looking statue. She's definitely one of the least creepy, I think, once you've completed them. Bart's definitely the creepiest so far, I think. Bart's got a weird look about him, but she looks pretty good, in my opinion, looking pretty good. So, hopefully you guys had no problem making her whatsoever, and remember guys, I've also made Bart, Homer, and Marge. Next will be Maggie, and then I may make some side characters, I may not. I'm a little limited by the skin pack unless I want to design my own, which I might, to be honest with you guys. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be Maggie.